public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened or heard, discussed, or considered.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And may I have roll call?
Present.
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 Here.
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 Can we stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the post 9/17/2024 agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
On September 11th, I emailed, I don't know if you saw it, Madam Chair, there's an agenda item that I requested for open session that I don't see listed. I asked for an update during open session on which board members are serving on interview panels. I'd like to have that added.
There are no interviews scheduled at this time.
There have been interviews since the last meeting.
Yes, there were two, and the chair, the vice chair, and I were on both of those.
Thank you. Ready? Ready for the question?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes from the 09/03/2024 meeting as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion on the GED list?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the GED list as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion on the religious exemptions?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the religious exemptions as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And is there a motion on the readmission and the suspension?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the case for the readmission case as presented, case number 09/17/2401.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And suspension.
Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and amend case number 09/17/2402 as discussed.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The vouchers. Are there any questions about the vouchers? Is there a motion to approve the vouchers?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the vouchers as presented this evening.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the vouchers?
Aye.
Opposed? And we will leave the personnel list, since we did not talk about that till the end, I guess. For public comment, Sheriff Todd Wessels. You want to read the rules of?
Rules of public comment. 1, identify yourself by name and 911 address. 2, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. 3, individuals may reserve or transfer their time to another speaker. 4, specific personnel matters must not be initiated at a public meeting. 5, speakers cannot be abusive, threatening, or use profanity. 6, specify the nature of your remarks. 7, speakers who have previously spoken on a subject for public comment should not be allowed to readdress the board during the same public comment period. 8, specific questions should be resolved prior to the meeting by contacting the superintendent or the appropriate staff member. 9, anyone who would like to present a PowerPoint presentation for public comment has to present presentation 24 hours in advance for review by their staff for appropriateness. And 10, all questions shall be directed to the chair, who will, at her discretion, solicit the response from the appropriate staff member. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Chairwoman Janet Turner and members of the board. I come to you tonight as your sheriff, discussing cooperation between the Accomack County Sheriff's Office and the Accomack County Public School Administration. When my office receives reports of possible school threats or reports of criminal activity occurring at one of our schools, it's critical that my deputies or investigators are provided with the information necessary to conduct a proper investigation. This ensures that every child and staff member in the schools are safe. Just this week, I was called by Dr. Hall advising of a possible threat at school. During the early stages of the investigation, one of my investigators was told by a principal at the middle school that he would have to obtain a search warrant to get certain information regarding several students possibly involved. I immediately called Dr. Hall and she told me to put the request in writing. I was on the scene with my deputies during this incident, and I shouldn't have to leave the school where there's a possible threat to put something in writing that I am exempt from in accordance with FERPA and the Code of Virginia. I have copies of FERPA, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, that I've given to y'all tonight, and the Code of Virginia that covers me. In closing, I hope Accomack County Public School Board changes its policy when it deals with disseminating information to law enforcement, because our children deserve better. Thank you.
Can I just ask you a question? So you were investigating, you were actively investigating a possible threat,
Correct.
and you were trying to follow up and get more information. And
Correct.
the information would have been coming from some students.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, and if you look at the FERPA that I gave you, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, it says, if you look at the highlighted area, it says generally, schools must have written permission from the parent or eligible student in order to release any information from a student's education record. However, FERPA allows schools to disclose those records without consent to the following parties or under the following conditions. And if you look at the next page, the exemptions, appropriate officials in cases of health and safety emergencies, and state and local authorities with the juvenile justice system, which I am, pursuant to the specific state law. And then if you go to the Code of Virginia, 22.1287, limitations of access to records. No teacher, principal, or employee of any public school nor any school board member shall permit access to any records concerning any particular pupil enrolled in the school in any class to any person except under judicial process unless the person is one of the following. You look at 5, state and local law enforcement or correctional personnel, including a law enforcement officer, probation officer, parole officer, or administrator, or a member of a parole board seeking information in the course of his duties. We don't want the child's educational record. We want some important information: name, date of birth, address, mom and dad's name. It's all we need to conduct our investigation. And like I said, I believe our kids deserve better to us, so we can conduct a proper investigation and make sure there's no threat to our public schools. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I'm curious, what was the outcome? If you shared it already, what was the outcome?
It was not a viable threat after we did our investigation. Thank God.
Anyone else? Thank you. We're gonna look into this. And
Thank you.
discuss. Thank you. Kiva Dennis.
Good evening. My name is Kiva Dennis. I live at 16168 Bloxham, Lakewood Highway, Bloxham. I'm here as a parent, but I'm also an employee. I have a 6-year-old special needs child who's not currently getting a free and appropriate education that he's supposed to get. I hear everything Dr. Hall is what Dr. Hall wants. Why is everything what Dr. Hall want? I had an IEP meeting. I don't feel comfortable sending my son to school because he can't talk. We've been denied early drop off. We've been denied a regular school bus. I hear it's what's in the best interest for our kids. We're here for kids, but we're not here for our kids. I have rights, and I feel like Accomack County is denying me of my rights. And this is my last resort. I'm not gonna stop until I pursue this. If I have to get a lawyer, I'm gonna pursue this because I have rights. And I'm tired of my rights being denied because of Dr. Hall. That's all I have to say. Basically, I'm tired of my rights being denied. I'm tired. It's been a long 10-year fight with Accomack County. So I said thank you for your time.
Thank you. Someone will follow up with you. Anyone else with public comment? Ms. Only, financial report.
Good evening. I sent one out last week when the agenda was posted, and I updated it today, and Ed can look sideways at it again because my Adobe still doesn't do right. But anyway, there were a lot of reimbursements made over the weekend, over $2 million worth of CARES reimbursements. So I did do a big update. You see Title I, we already met the threshold. We will have no problem meeting migrant or Title II or Title III or Title IV. Title V, we have a lot in the pipeline, and it's expected to come in September. So that's the one that looks like it's close, but we do have enough purchase orders in the pipeline that's expected to clear. And then looking at the updated figures on the back, which these are not the updated figures, but the sideways one is. You'll see we spent ESSER 3 from $5 million down to $3 million, and a number of the other ones. We closed out the HVAC grant. We're about to close out the homeless. I've talked to you before about the recruitment and retention and the RARS, R-A-R-S grant. That's because either Clara or Ms. Whitelock sent things out for teachers to take advantage of coursework to be certified, and we just did not have them take up on that. Ms. Evans will make sure that the mentor teacher grant is spent as well. So there will be pretty close to that amount left over on the after-school programs, and we are expected to come close to clearing out the summer programs. Are there any questions?
I do, Mr. Only. It's not on this, but for our next meeting, can you prepare a spreadsheet updating us on the 24 million excess of how we're going to be spending that? I know we
So-
talked about it in August.
Right, so
We're
we will,
looking into some things.
it might not be the next one because the report will be done at the end of September, but it will be in October.
Okay, that'd be perfect. We can just have, starting with the 24 million and then everything spread out.
Yes, because that has to be approved before we'll spend any of it.
Correct.
That, what I did before was just an outline of suggestions. All of that must be approved by this board.
Correct. And I guess I'm assuming you're going to be reaching out to some schools and stuff too, so we can see everything and kind of hammer it out. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. At-risk funds.
Well, I sent you an update on the 3 things that you told me to look at, for the at-risk funds. And that was the school security officers, baby sensors, and, the rental property alternative. So I've given you a report, which outlines the cost of each one of these 3 areas and some recommendations, that coincides with each one.
Is this, we just got one quote on the sensors.
This is the one that I think, didn't Mr. O'Shea and them, is this the company that you guys were looking at, talking to Bobby, he's the one who cares. The vape detectors, is this the
Yes.
quote from the?
Yeah, that's the same, do I need to come apart?
This.
That is the same one.
Yes. This is the same company.
Would it
can't hear what she's saying.
Is there a possibility that you can also put, or look for other possible quotes to see
Yeah,
if
I'm
this
all-
is the best, cost?
I'm already investigating other companies, trying to get where I can get comparable quotes on it. The installation of them is not part of that quote. We were getting, Absolute to do the quote on installation. They do most of our wiring on data stuff anyway. So the quote for the wiring is separate from the thing. But I'm looking at 2 other companies right now, trying to get proposals.
Questions? Yes,
So
ma'am.
my question is, what, from your lens as our chair, what is the next step? Barring that we understand we would get a couple more proposals on the vapes for that category, do we need to talk about the rental property piece? Do we need to talk about the total amount that is offered for security officers? Particularly considered there's a proposed timeline, so the longer we delay, then it delays the date that the officers, the assessors will
Right,
start.
right. So we could move forward with this whole thing, or we could just move forward with the security officers. I understand we had some interest, and I believe, Mr. Johnson could start interviewing those folks, so we could definitely get started on that. And I don't know, this one property that is mentioned here is one that was offered to us, but I don't know if there's other properties.
I thought it was added to us also until we got it correct.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, looking at the cons that were listed on the rental properties, no gym which is required, or no access to a facility that would work as a gym. There's 2 others there, students wouldn't have actually, students not here.
As I understood it, and Jennifer Ames is not here to address this, but it's not the gym part, it's the health education piece that they weren't getting when they were at the all-in trailer.
And it's the gym also.
Oh, it's the gym,
That,
okay.
and we come on it.
Because they have a basketball court, that wasn't enough.
No, it's the gym also. Because at one time, we were proposing to take them to Mandua, on the bus, since we had a driver, take them to Mandua so that we could meet that requirement, but if that never happened.
So, like I'm thinking partially, is there a chance that this space is not, being used and they could just be bust over here to us?
No, I mean, the space in Parksley is, it's, as I said in here, it would accommodate all the programs that we have and everything. It's just, we wanna pay the rental fee and utilities every month. And we would probably have to put some security there also, at the front door, the cameras and so much. At the front door. But there is access to, the bus stopping on, or they could even come in, but probably stopping on 316 to bring the kids down if they needed to, and someone would have to be out there to meet the kids. Because right now, and I'll get correct me if she needs to, with that young man, we don't have anyone in the reconnect right now. We don't have anyone in the reconnect.
They're coming.
With regard to leasing this property, there's a line that says we would need to consult our lawyer. Is there more that we can find out about that? I mean, do we think that it's probable that we could get this, a lease of this type past the attorney? And my only other question is there a good enough return on investment when we're leasing property as opposed to purchasing it or getting it gratis, free, right? This set of money is for 1 year, although my understanding is that it is usually renewable, but nobody signed that check, right? So I'm while I wanna be supportive supportive of what we have approved, I do have those additional concerns. I'll repeat in case I wasn't clear, because I'm not sure I'm clear in my own mind. Do we think we can get a lease past an attorney? Do we know yet? And just a slight concern about establishing a site that we may not be able to maintain.
I would think that this would be a temporary, this would be a stopgap, and that we would need to make a long-term plan, whether we purchase another trailer or we do something else, but this would fix our problem for today.
And would we consider as a part of this, putting all the kids back in, and we talked about that, I talked about that, just putting all of them in the reconnect trailer, because right now it's, Ms. Jordan is four students now. No, but that one's going, so it's only two middle school and two high school kids. That's all we have now that are in our alternative program, two in middle school, and then go to the Arcadia Middle and two at Arcadia High School, so all four of them could go, when you want to take them out of school, all four of them could go to reconnect them. And then we would have not only the four of them there, but we have 4 adults there also. Because you got the teacher and the aide that's at reconnect now, and you have the teacher and the aide from Arcadia that would come down also.
But how, I'm sorry,
Yes, sir.
how long will the reconnect trailer be there? I mean, if they start construction on Accomack primary, I mean, will the trailer have to be removed? Is it something that we can use for the full school year? I mean, I'm just asking.
I don't know what phase they would want that trailer moved. It wouldn't be until the phase they did the parking lot, so it probably wouldn't be until like the latter phase of the building.
So you would think we can get through this school
Oh,
year?
yeah.
Now, when the other kids go into reconnect as the year progresses, is there gonna be enough room for all of them?
It's enough room there for about 15, because we expanded it last year. I think we expanded it and put more stations there, so it's room in there for at least about 15.
Or what would have been the highest number last year students we had in that trailer?
Della, do you know,
Max out.
maybe now, I think we might have had maybe 9 or 10.
It's always 15.
That's why we added more last
We
year.
had more last year, we had three. Yeah, because of the school years,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess my concern would be, once the Accomack primary is constructed and for the reconnect kids going there, is that gonna be big enough to house some of these kids? I think it will be.
It probably won't, it depends on how.
I think it's something we're gonna have to
Yeah.
keep looking into and figuring out an actual permanent place. So with that being said, then do we go ahead and still need to wait on the rental property? What we do with the lawyer and stuff, that you just approve the SSO stuff this evening?
I'm thinking we could use the reconnect trail, we would need to rent the property this time, but maybe we continue looking to see if maybe for next year.
Well, last year, the reconnect trailer ran out of space. We suspended so many children, the reconnect trailer was full, and there was kids in all pet too. So now we're just down to one trailer. So it would be a very, I think, would be a very temporary fix.
And also, I think it depends on how quickly bids come back and when they want to start construction. And it could be latter part of the school year before they have to do something with that.
So you guys suggesting doing the rental, lobber, and all that?
Yes.
I'm reading here, it says other properties which require a 3 to 5 year lease. The property we're looking at is a month-to-month, a 1 year lease, or
This month or
month-to-month.
Yeah,
So we could lease the property, and like Dr. Johnson says, still look for somewhere to purchase, but at least we have this property for now, would give the children somewhere to go.
And she informed us when, the CSP person informed us that they would have to just consult with their maintenance people and everything to decide on when it would be, because I asked her was the availability. Because we went in and looked at it and everything.
And when I read further, we need to consult with our lawyer regarding a lease agreement of this nature. It's not that we need to consult the lawyer on leasing it. We just want him or her to look at the agreement to make sure it's written right, and we're not responsible for the roof and the plumbing, and it's not
Right,
that
and
the
I was,
landlord should be responsible.
so we were talking to that was the one who let me know that we need to have.
As a school board, we have limited authority to tie money into future years. So we would have to look at, no, a 3 to 5 year lease would be a problem because you would be obligating a future board. So I think a year's lease would possibly be okay, but we would just have to look at our restriction in general on a lease.
Well, if they're willing to lease it month to month, I like Dr. Johnson's idea of looking for a place to purchase and have it somewhere permanent.
So do you want to move forward with the house and the interviewing of the security guards?
That's what we do, we just make my mind.
Is that, someone make a motion?
I move, Madam Chair, that we,
Take
approve.
next steps.
Pardon?
Take the next steps.
Take the next steps for the SSOs, go through that process, as well as for the rental property, as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Mr. Bennett, when you have more information about the vape sensors, you'll bring that to us. Thank you.
If that could be, if you can, get that implemented.
You need to wait till tomorrow to do it.
Yes.
Ms. Farrell, elementary updates.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight I wanted to start with, you'll see kind of the theme of my PowerPoint presentation this evening is collaboration with partnerships from the community. So I've noted several partnerships that we have. Ms. Taylor and I have been working hard to increase those partnerships and get our children out into the community more. So this first one, these pictures here are from our summer school program for elementary. We worked with Ms. Jen Miller, who's at the Brownsville Nature Conservancy, and we did a program for our current fifth graders and our rising fifth graders. And the program is called T&C Shore Explorers, and Jen Miller and her team came into all the schools and worked for over a 2-week period with each school. They did many field trips that were related to issues that are pertinent to the Eastern Shore, and then they did a culminating activity at the end where they presented their projects. Some example would be pollution in the Chesapeake Bay, and they presented their projects. That's what you see here. All the schools came to Wetumpka and presented to students and family and community members here. So that was a really neat project, and we're gonna work on growing that project in the coming years. Next here, you see some pictures of our elementary students in our STEM labs. This year, all of our labs have a full-time IA. Last year, 2 of our labs shared an IA, but we're excited that each school has a full-time IA, and you can see some of the kids on either end are students at Accomack doing a building project, and in the center, you see Miss Lee Ellen Young's students working on looking at various things in the microscope and doing exploration activities. Another new partnership we have that we're excited about is we're working with Miss Samantha Willis. She's the Community Outreach Coordinator for Virginia Eastern Shore Land Trust, and they have a program specific to second grade students and that's aligned with our standards, so that this is an additional field trip opportunity for our students that the schools are working with her on. And here's just another picture of some of the activities that these students will be participating in, and this is also at Brownsville Nature Conservancy. A few curriculum updates. Some of these things I've shared the progress and steps in previous meetings, but our pacing guides are complete for mathematics, and for first semester for our ELA, Ms. Owens and I are working with teams of teachers to complete the pacing guide for our reading classes and standards this year. Some VLA updates. We have updated our literacy plan. Updates are due December 6th, and we only had one required update from the state, and that was just to include the link where community members and families can access the plan on our website. We are also very kudos to our teachers who are working really hard to meet the PD requirements under the Virginia Literacy Act. We've had numerous teachers already complete, even though they have all year to do it, they've already completed that. So kudos to them working hard. We're excited that we had a small team of kindergarten teachers work this summer on a new kindergarten report card. It's aligned with our new standards. It's where they can access it electronically, so it's saving on a lot of, because if you know, the kindergarten report card is quite lengthy. It's not one we can just print from PowerSchool. So it's a lot of handwritten work. So I think our kindergarten teachers are very excited about that. We started BALS testing this week. If you remember, we previously did PALS testing. This is a new assessment under the Virginia Literacy Act, and before our teachers had a day or two with a sub where they would go through and test all the students. But now with this testing, it's broken into small little bits of assessments, so they're able to do it over a 3-week period and not have to be out of the classroom for 2 days. So that's new information. Again, that's going to take place over the next 3 weeks. And then we'll start building the reading plans that you've heard me reference. Any student K-3 who is in the high-risk bandwidth, which means they are many indicators that they are not reading on grade level, they will be required to have a reading plan. We purchased additional license to Gold Book. If you're not familiar with that, that's a program that our special education department uses to help build IEPs that are aligned with individual student needs. And we found that this is going to help us with our reading plans as well. Ms. Owens is working on a few updates with the curriculum. She's working on an FAQ document for the Virginia Literacy Act. She's working on a glossary of literacy terms. And we know the VLA is K-8, and some of our middle school teachers may not know certain words like encoding, decoding, things that we're used to at the elementary level. So she's working on putting together a glossary of literacy terms. All right, next, some upcoming events we have. We're excited. I know you've been hearing about our parent university. That's this Saturday here at Wetumpka. We have our 3rd grade farm day, which Ms. Ellen and Mr. Reeder and I were talking about how many years this program has been in place. It's a new thing to this program this year is it's actually going to be held here at Wetumpka in the large field adjacent to the building. For years we've gone up to a farm in New Church, but for several reasons they weren't able to do that this year. So we've got it all set up with Teresa Pittman, and I've met with her out here. We've kind of mapped everything out. Mr. Bennett has helped us to make sure, if we have a few pieces of large farm equipment, that they're in the appropriate place. So we're excited about that. I told you about BALS testing, and next week we start our BPI audit. That's the Virginia Preschool Initiative, and we'll be going through an audit where a representative from the state will come, interview teachers, assistants, myself, and really dig deep into our preschool program and the curriculum. And you guys know the bookmobile is kind of one of my babies, so I just wanted to throw this in here that we are at 11,042 books that have been handed out to students. So nice. That's pretty incredible. So we're excited about that. And on this page, you'll see another community stakeholder that we collaborate with, and this is Gages, which is Go and Grow Eastern Shore. They're a group of people that work closely to ensure that families have access to all of the resources from birth to 5 and to make sure our students are kindergarten ready. So Accomack County Public Schools and Northampton County Public Schools is working with them, teaming up on a program where they build backpacks for new moms at the local hospital here, and we're going to be working with them on putting a board book in each of the book bags, like I said, from our county and from Northampton. So we're excited about that, to be helping new moms and their children. That's all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
That is a lot of stuff. Do all the 2nd graders go to, is it Brownsville?
So that's a new field trip that we're working on this year. Miss Ms. Willis reached out to Kagatake and Punkatuk because Accomack and Wetumpka, and she's also reaching out to Chincoteague. Accomack and Wetumpka did something with her program last year, so she is reaching out to them first, and then but it's open to everyone. And we've got I've approved quite a few field trips already this year, which is exciting. Kudos to Mr. Reeder and his team we now have an electronic program where we're able to more quickly approve trips and get the information back to the schools. So we've got classes going to the library, VIMS, pumpkin patches, those kind of things. So we've got a lot going on with trips.
Anybody have any?
So the fifth graders, they're still gonna go to Brownsville to fifth grade to Goose?
Yes, and they also work with 7th and 10th graders as well. Ms. Taylor will talk about that, but yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ms. Farrell.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor.
Hi, good evening. So just to give you some updates on what's going on in the secondary world. So we have been working on pacing guides since last year. We have all the new math pacing guides posted on our website. We are patiently waiting from the state to get the second textbook adoption list out so we can actually start working on textbook adoptions. With the new math pacing guides posted, they are new, they are to be implemented this year. However, any student taking the algebra class fall semester does take the old SOL test. They take the new SOL test in the spring. So it is a little confusing, but we're working with the state on that. For the English, we have all the new high school English SOLs completed, updated, and posted on the website. We have a couple things to finalize with middle school. Ms. Owens and I have been working with the middle school teachers to get that finalized. VDOE still had a few updates they hadn't finished. So we're hoping to have that wrapped up and posted for next week. That again, we are getting ready to start working on the textbook adoption for that too and start getting samples. Last year we posted the new science SOL. So those have been posted since last year. And then for history, that's gonna be a project for this year because as I've told you all in the past, it's a huge change with history in general and how they're shifting the history down a grade level. So we'll be working on the new pacing guides and we'll have those posted as well as textbook adoption for that as well. So we're getting lots of new textbooks. And Ms. Owens and I are working together to put together binders, which will have also the pacing guides, the VDOE curriculum, and then some resources. And we had talked about putting it in the library, but then we said probably better off it was in the actual commons area where parents come in. So if they're waiting for their kids to patiently come down to the office, they could actually see it and be more accessible to our parents and community. Science. With the ESSER funds this year, trying to zero out the last of the dollars, we were actually able to order prisms for our middle and high school and 24 anatomy tablets for just the high school. The prisms are 3D virtual glasses that are going to be used for math and science in the middle and high school. They can be used for anywhere from math 6 to algebra or science to biology. All the math and science subjects are uploaded with the virtual glasses. And the kids can actually do it all virtually and learn lessons that way, but it's a resource. It's not to replace the subject at all. And then next, the company is going to start uploading history so that kids can actually do more history lessons virtually as well. And the company's coming to do a hands-on training with all of our students and with our teachers at the end of this month. So they will actually do a hands-on. And as you see on the right, that is actually what the anatomy tablet looks like. Originally, we wanted to get an anatomy table, which is a virtual 3D table, a little bit more costly than we thought, but we actually thought the tablets would be better because that's more hands-on and we could put students in groups. And honestly, it's going to come with 2 human cadaver apps where students can virtually dissect the human body, as well as other apps to be able to dissect as we go along animals. Like right now, the science teachers, yes, they bring in, and they're still going to keep bringing in things to dissect, but this actually gives more of a virtual, which is going to totally put a whole different spin on how we teach anatomy and even our nursing program. So we will be using some of these tablets in our nursing program. So this will be really great for our students to get more of a hands-on. For the NDCC, here's our numbers. So as you see, for the fall we have 64, and for the spring we're already at 46. The goal for the nation is 50 to maintain NNDCC. To be JROTC, it's 100. We're there. So we're very excited, and we are still working on doing more recruitment for next semester and obviously for the following year. After 2 years, we could qualify to have our 8th graders join the program. So we feel like we've really hit the ground running with this and been very successful so far. It's been great to see the kids in there. It's great to see the excitement and for them to understand that this is just not a program just for the military. It's so many different things. And with that said, we just got an invitation that we're very excited about for it to take our teacher and lead cadets to participate in the Memorial Parade at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So we're very excited. That'll be December 7th. That's when they're doing the parade. We are trying to work on funds. Yeah, that's a big one.
I'll chaperone.
It's been amazing the volunteers for chaperones for this. I mean, I can only imagine how the
Yes, we should all do that.
And actually, I went to talk to Paul yesterday because slowly but sure we're getting all the pieces in for how it would all be. So the Navy is actually going to fund $1,000 for each person, the teacher, and for each student we take. And then out of pocket would be $1,500 per person, which I think is a bargain to go all the way to Hawaii. That includes airfare, hotel, and 4 days.
Wow.
So talking with the teacher, I told her I'm gonna see what I can do with Perkins, and any other grants, as well as her kids, you know, talking to her kids about fundraising. Right now, we were looking at taking 4 cadets. The area manager has been with her. They've actually assessed students on leadership skills, and that's how you earn your ranking with the cadet, of being a cadet in the program. So right now, we are looking at 4. Ideally, 6 would be great, but we know with the funding, it's gonna be tight, so.
I just wanted to say, I was among probably the first one to joke about the chaperone piece. I just didn't say it really loud. But I do want to also say that has a potential to be so impactful. So impactful.
Yeah, we are very excited just to be able to go, but then actually for our kids to experience. And I feel like for them to come back and tell our other students, and we want them to come back and go to the other schools to help also with the recruitment, so they can see there's so many opportunities out there with this program. So hopefully we can get the funds together. That's what we're hoping for, to be able to make this trip happen. So the next we have is welding, and as you see here, this is Strong Hand Tools. It's a large manufacturing company of clamping systems and tools that specifically work with welding and related industries. And they recently donated several $100s worth of tools to our welding program. And Mr. Smith was very kind. He does share with our other trade teachers. And also on the next slide is one of our new Lincoln welders. So when we came before you before, we said we were requesting the funds to get 6 welders. With inflation, it only worked out that we could get 4 welders, but Mr. Spilker is very happy to have those 4 because in addition to getting the welder, he wanted the accessories to have those updated as well because that's just as important as the actual tool. And one of the welders actually comes with all the accessories to weld aluminum. So aluminum is not a state requirement for level 1 and 2. It's typically a level 3, 4 with a specialty. But we've got some really talented kids, and he feels very confident that he would like to get our level 1 and 2 kids into that. And that even if they came back as a post-grad for level 3 and 4, we could do that as well. And at least this is a one-time opportunity to be able to get that equipment. Also with our auto and welding, Drummond's and Oak Hall is closing. So together, they went over. That's where we typically get our auto parts for the auto program. So that's gonna be a little struggle once they officially close, because it's so convenient just to run over there and get an oil filter or whatever it is they need. But they were actually able to get those supplies for a bargain, almost a steal of a deal that they gave our 2 teachers to be able to organize their space a whole lot better, and be able to have the tools to be able to have the program more efficient. Also, they stopped by the cabinet company or business right beside it that's up for sale and talked to them, and they potentially may be willing to donate some cabinets, which are the custom-made cabinets, where they're closing as well, to our programs, to be able to help, again, make things more efficient, more organized, for the programs itself. Also, just wanted to let you know that both of those programs have 1/3 female in both of them. This is the highest number of non-traditional students we've had in the trade program, and that is one of the number one goals of BDOE pushes to have more non-traditional and more special population students into our trade program. So we've done an exceptional job with that. With Gear Up, this is our 10th grade cohort. As you know, it keeps moving up each year, and we've started planning some upcoming events, including college tours. One of the newest events, which is being hosted by East Shore Community College, is the Career Adventure Day. It's similar to what we do with junior achievement in 8th grade, and we do have a career day that we host at Arcadia in the spring, but this one's going to actually be hosted by the East Shore Community College, where we can take all of our 10th graders, who, fortunate enough, are Gear Up students too, and they're going to host a career day in October for us. So we're really excited about that. I was working with a couple counselors this morning, trying to help work out some details and counts and how it's all going to operate with that. For the lab school, for our Aerospace Academy. So we are waiting still for BDOE's HR department to release the actual director's position. The job description is already created, we just need them to actually post it. And we are in the process now of creating the job description for the education specialist. ODU kind of put their staff first to get their school year up and going, and now they'll be working on that. We will be hosting a kickoff for 8th graders on November 8th and tentatively the 15th. Those are 2 Fridays. We will take 2 schools each day because, again, we're combined with Northampton County for the 8th graders. And the students will build rockets and launch them on those 2 days. We're estimating anywhere from at least 50 to 100 rockets we plan to launch. We want this to be one of the biggest launches we do, other than what NASA does. But we're very excited because NASA is a huge contributor and help with this whole project. They're very excited about it as well, to get this going. And this will be a great way for us to promote the program and give out applications for students that want to apply for the lab school itself. We do have 2 tours already lined up. One's at the end of this month for Richmond to do a lab school tour there. And then I'm going to be sending 4 people to Elizabeth City in North Carolina with ODU and several people from Northampton to tour lab school in October. So we have 2 lab school tours to do to help with this whole planning process to get things going. And both of those lab schools are very big with aerospace and the NASA and all of that. So we're looking forward to that. We are starting to form the curriculum committee and map out the classes needed for the pathways to be more specific of what exactly do they need to start doing in middle school to carry forward into the high school once they get accepted in the program. Some of the members include NASA, ODU, and I will be recruiting some staff, within our division, the same as Northampton's going to recruit within their division, to put some insight into it. And I'm looking at people not only just from high school, but also like from elementary and middle school with the STEM programs that some of those teachers are involved in. We do have our governing board that does consist of the superintendents of all of the Region 2 lab schools. Our first meeting is next week, and it also consists of the LEAs. So we're excited to see how that goes. We'll be creating the MOU for our school division with Northampton and ODU on the next steps moving forward for the planning process. Here are some upcoming events. I just want to put some dates there. We did start growth testing this week, and primary testing is today and tomorrow, but it will carry on throughout the week because obviously we need to get makeup tests and things done as the students come to school. We have been reviewing last year's data in accordance to the All in Virginia criteria, and we've seen significant growth from what we originally started with last year to where we are now. We know we have more to do, but we feel great with the success of what our students have done with the growth progress. As Ms. Farrell has said, so we do have a trip again planned this year. We did it last year, we're doing it again this year with all 7th and 10th graders with the Nature Conservancy again this year. So we're excited with that. And then some other updates that we have is with the ESSER funds and Title V, we were able to, and Title IV, we were able to replenish and buy new STEM equipment for all elementary and middle school STEM labs and the Computer Systems Technology Badger program. We spent a little over $100,000 combined with all the grants, so we're very excited to get more things going with our kids. And as you all have seen they're excited when they come to you all and show you what they're doing in their classes. Also with ESSER funds, we were able to purchase instructional simulators for our HVAC program and for the auto program. Our nursing program was very conservative with their funds last year, so she's gonna be able to buy some simulators with her leftover or carry forward funds that she had in her instructional account. So those three programs are going to be getting new simulators for those. Auto last year bought a gasoline simulator. This year they want an electric simulator, so kids can see how to work on both styles of cars. But HVAC, those simulators, some of them are 40 years old. They're old. Not that we don't still have equipment out in the world that still needs to know how to use it. Oh, but with new technology, they definitely need the simulators. So those are just a few things we're working on. Any questions?
I just wanted to say it's good to hear that the donation of the tools and all that, maybe we get some snap-on tools donated more than that.
Yes, that would be great if Snap-on would donate some tools. That would be wonderful.
Thank you, that was great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
That's over there.
Edge access,
I can go over it, or DJ can go over it.
No, I've reached out to all the town police departments that I've been asked to, through emails, phone calls, emails and phone calls, I've left messages, and, you know, they were receptive, but, I've only had one come and get it back, one police officer come get it back. Blossom. So they know about it, and I've shared with them what the process is. Dr. Hall sent an email, very detailed email about how to go about doing it. So they just need to, if you know some of them, you need to encourage them to come on in and see us, so we can get it going.
The state police and sheriff's office are done.
That was before me, I believe.
Jack had done the ones that had there, these were the local ones that you told us.
Okay.
That I was asked to check into.
So she could take police department, they haven't.
I mean, none of them have come to get it.
All right, thank you for that, and how about the absenteeism dashboard? I don't think we've had much
It hasn't
absenteeism
changed.
yet.
Now, so it hasn't changed, because that dashboard does not change the private website. However, what we decided to do is so that we can monitor and we can give you some information, is that we will keep our own local kind of report, and we will give you, how each school's attendance for each month, moving forward, and then we can monitor to make sure that we're all staying under the radar, we're all staying green, and that's a good way to monitor it. But this is the one that we were looking at from the State Department, that's on Laser, that won't change again until I get in.
Really? So you all upload information monthly, but it doesn't let you see what you entered?
Because it won't.
Until the end of the year.
You won't see
Okay.
until the end, and
Okay.
then they'll tell you if you red, green, or yellow.
Okay.
But we can give it monthly. We'll, Della and I had talked about getting the information from the buildings and from the truancy teams, and so that we can say, okay, this school needs to be really careful. And we kind of did that last year, going to different schools and talking to the principals about, okay, this is where you are, so what are you gonna do? Make sure you don't go lower than that, so we can get that.
Okay, thank you. And then, did we already do this, at-risk funds?
And we did that.
We took care of that, so we're gonna hear about the bats.
No, I'm not gonna say it. You know, normally I say the best for last, but not tonight. Back removal, Danville High School. Where do I start? Okay, I've got two proposals in front of me that are really similar to one another, other than the language. I've read these things over a lot in the last 2 days. I've called these people and got answers. They're very similar in their approach. Both of them are gonna use, the language varies. One of them's gonna use bat valves, the other's gonna use bat excluders. These are devices they put on the areas that the bats are getting into the school right now, which is mostly weep holes in the brick and under the where the metal roof comes down and turns on the face of the building, they're getting there. The foam that was in there in places is deteriorated, so they're going there. There's roughly, and I did not count them all, about 1,700 weep holes on the building in the brick, where these bats are going in and out. One proposal is putting a back baffle, valve on a lot of them. The other one's putting them on the ones they feel necessary. I talked to this guy today. The biggest difference is in our approach. One is gonna use mortar to patch these weep holes, which is okay, but not ideal. The other one's gonna use a sealant, a caulk, to do it. Both of them are gonna use like a galvanized hardware caulk or like a steel wool or something like that in it first, and then put the caulk or masonry cement, mortar mixed in it. Both of them are gonna do the excluders. Both of them have a 1-year warranty. The biggest difference in the two proposals I got in front of me is $185,000. One of them is $250,643, and the other one is $64,930. Outside of that, they're basically, one is using more of the back to get these baffle valves and excluders. They go on openings, like on a weep hole. The bats can go out, they can't come back in. So once they go out, he's gonna leave them in place 5 days. They say, oh, the bats be gone, then they'll begin to seal it. The other guy is not putting them on every single one because he doesn't feel like, he said, because the bats travel between the brick veneer and the masonry behind it, the void. He said the bats travel through there. I'm not a bat expert, so I'm, deferring to them a lot of this stuff, but I mean, I don't know, short of just deciding who to go with, I don't know what we need to do. It is a problem. From what I understand, it's an ongoing problem. Question?
So the price again was, one was $250,000 and the other one was?
$64,000.
And of the two, the $64,000 one, is that the one just with the mortar?
No, that's the one using sealant. They're gonna use, both of them are gonna use a wildlife foam in the voids like where the metal's at, the bigger voids. They're putting a foam in there. And it's a wildlife foam that expands. It's supposed to be shiny, critters don't chew through it. Both of them were telling me all about it. I trust them, that's what it does. And the other one's gonna use, the $250,000 one's gonna use mortar to go back in all the weep holes. And mortar them all up except for a small hole. And I wish I had a PowerPoint tonight. I don't have one. I'm sorry for that, but I'm gonna just, if there's any, you all can pass my phone around. If something silly pops up, just, this is a weep hole that in the brick. So just so you're they're roughly 6 inches tall. They're every 4 foot. And on the higher section of the building, there's 3. One at ground level, one midway, and then one towards the top. And so, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And one guy says 1,700. He may have counted them. I don't know. I haven't. But that's the one they're going to use mortars at $250,000. He's got a lot of additional stuff in his where he needs lifts and a 60-foot articulating boom truck and all this other stuff. And the other guy kind of said that he could do it, mostly with ladders and stuff like that. He may have to run a small lift. And another thing I will say to you is, in order to address this the way we need to, there are 17 holly trees planted from the south corner of Nando High at the corner towards the tennis court, all the way up to nearly where you turn in to go to the maintenance shop in the back where the greenhouse is. Those 17 trees will be removed. Actually, they'll be removed on September 25th. It's an early day out. They can get it all done that day. The other option was do it on a weekend, and the price escalated. The trees got to move because they're up against the building. Really, these trees have outgrown their lifespan for where they're planted. They're too close to the building. They've got too big. So I mean, they stay there. It's going to be additional problems in the future, drainage and things like that. So we're going to get them out, grind all the stumps, get everything done. The contractors assured me he can do it that day, be done where there's no disruptions in school, which I'm glad we were able to work it out. And then both of these can get here, pretty quickly to do this work. I think it will be somewhat disruptive. It won't be terrible. Everything's on the exterior. There's not going to be a lot of beating and banging and putting stuff in. Now, the one thing on this, bats are protected. They call it a blackout time, where you can't mess with them. That period of time starts, according to one of these guys, in mid-October. According to the other one, it's in the wintertime, and I can't find anything on it, but it's a state deal where they can't do this work once it gets to that time period. So if they don't get the work done, we'll deal with the bats till you can begin working on it again when they come out of their hibernation and mating season, which is sometime in early spring. So it's one of those things, we try to get it done and try to deal with it, or we wait till when the blackout season is over. I feel silly because I don't really know what I'm talking about on some of this stuff. I'm just,
It's a very unusual situation.
In 30+ years of this type of work, I haven't really dealt with it.
I believe
Bats
Dr.
don't like
Johnson's
light.
This, you may have covered this, and I'm gonna do like 1,500 disclaimers. No, I'm not just gonna say it, but I feel like I'm asking a dumb question. Sealing those spaces is one thing. They are assuring you that they're gonna make sure that the bats are out, that we're not sealing them in,
That's
right?
that's a question that you got. No, that's a great question, because I told the guy today, I said, I needed him to call me. I said, look, I might be asking you a dumb question, but what are you telling me to assure me these bats are out before we seal it up? And if these bats are still in and we seal it up and they die, how bad is it gonna stink? And he told me that he pretty much assured me that the bats would be out. Again, these are bat guys, and I'm not Batman, so. But
They have to leave to eat.
that's right, and they have to leave to eat, and then as they try to get back in, they can't get back in the excluders or the bat tunnels, valve.
2 weeks.
Anything
Um,
else?
Let them 2 weeks to get out.
That one guy says he allows them 5 days to get out, the other one says he allows 2 weeks for them to get out before they start sealing anything. And the one guy, the way this guy talked, as they remove like one of the excluders, they'll seal that up. And he said his process may take a week longer because he may add additional excluders so that if any are there, they can get in. He's putting his like every 100 foot on the building, and he said he would put them more if thought necessary, but he said that's what he normally does, because he said the bats will actually, if they try to go out somewhere that's sealed, they'll crawl somewhere else. And they're a mouse with wings, so they crawl all around to where they go. You know that they're a mouse with wings. I seen you make a face.
One like a rat, and chasing.
2 questions. Where are the companies located in that thing?
Where?
Where are the 2 people from, the businesses?
Both of them were across the bay. One of them, the Critter Control, I should have told you the other company's name. One's Critter Control and one is Nice Wildlife. Critter Control is a national, so they've got their independent contractors throughout, but they're a national company. I think that the Nice Wildlife guy, he's from, it was across the bay somewhere, maybe Suffolk or something. Both in this area.
So what building are they currently living in?
Nandua
And do an auditorium?
High School. They.
So when they leave, what building are they going to next? If they're going.
I didn't want to have to answer this question, but I'll tell you, when I asked the question, what he told me, the neighboring houses.
Oh, my.
Now, I didn't want to be here to say that, so
Now,
you ask.
Are there any other buildings in Nandua where they can get into?
No, we don't think so.
The cook shack.
Maybe they may be able to get into the whole building, the athletic storage facility. They may be able to get into that. They may go to Nandua Middle School. We were told that. Nandua Middle School, though, is newer construction. It's not gonna have, as many openings and things like that. Can't say that they won't go there. They're leaving Nandua High.
They're gonna go somewhere.
Yes, they're definitely going somewhere.
I guess my question is to Dr. Johnson, I mean, I asked one, but, can we go ahead and look around, like, and then do a bill, just to, maybe have just to check, see, just to kind of give it a.
I think now that,
Options.
I think now that both Paul and myself are more educated, if you can be educated on that, we can look around and look at it before we either, whoever we choose to do this,
Exactly, that's what I said.
would, you know, go and kind of do a visual, maybe put some ladders up and check things that look like a void or something like they could get into, kind of try to ensure they don't get in the middle school, absolutely.
Is there like a guarantee?
Both of them offer a
3-year warranty or something?
one-year warranty. It's, both of them offer a one-year warranty. Here's my take on that, and it's y'all's decision. We go with the $64,000 one-year warranty. Year number 2, they come back, we use them again. We can use them up to 3 times before we even get close to the other guy's proposal. Plus, that gets me to retirement. So, wasn't I supposed to say that? I hate to be joking about it, but this has really been an eye-opening experience. And you were there the day the back went crazy in the thing, so I mean, it's not, that part's not funny. And somebody did get bit at Nandua, so I mean, they're going through a series of painful rabies shots. So it's not a joking matter. I mean, I'm thankful no children we got bit, and you know, I'm thankful that when we've got a back call, except for that day, generally we can catch them in the net and we can take them outside, get rid of them.
Oh, there was.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Did you contact Supro? Supro?
That's the one.
yeah, yes, ma'am.
No, no.
We had an issue.
Okay. So, George, would your phone?
Which one was it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will clear that up. The one person that got bit had coughed about in the net and was trying to release it. It was caught in the net, and he reached up there with his hand to try to get it out of the net, and he got bit, so. Bad luck.
I move that we accept a little bit to remove the vets at Nandua High School.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Interesting times that we live in. Mr. Spino, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Dr. Johnson? Ms. Bowman?
I'm on it for now.
Sandy?
I'm excited for Saturday.
And yes.
I hope they do.
And for everybody listening at home, Parent University is Saturday. Yes, so it's a good time and a lot of good resources. I encourage everyone to attend. It's free and they serve a nice lunch.
I'd just like to say that those that are listening, that things have been happening against around the country, especially in Georgia, the school shootings, that parents just really reach out, talk to their children, and also let them know too that no joking around about talking about any kind of guns or bomb threats or anything like that, because we will take it seriously. I don't want to speak for my other board members, but I'm pretty sure that we're all in agreement that the safety of our students and our staff are number one. So, again, please talk to your children.
Mr. White?
Yeah, I just got one statement. It's been 6 weeks. I still haven't heard back from you, chairperson, about the reason why I cannot be on the interview committee.
To be clear, I am following the practice of the previous chair. The previous chair and the vice chair sat in on the interview panels. Now, I don't know what your problem is that you.
Excuse me first, lower your voice.
You're interrupting me.
Lower
You're
your
interrupting
voice.
me. Nobody ever questioned him about being on these interview panels. So I don't know if you have a problem with me because I'm a woman or what the issue is.
I do not have a problem with a woman or the chairperson. The issue I have is you're treated as you are. This is a new board. We're trying to be as one. And it's like you stand in the past. We're trying to move forward. But in your mind, you don't want to move forward. You're still going back the past. We're trying to move forward. I just asked a simple question, and it's just being ignored. Thank you.
I responded to your question. Mr. Weber?
I'm good tonight.
Mr. Nails?
I just want to thank everybody for the updates and thank Sheriff Wessels for coming in here and giving us his concerns. And thank you, Batman, if he's still here. He did a very good job for an unfamiliar subject. Hopefully we get this problem resolved.
Superintendent's report.
Okay, I have sent letters out to parents about safety, talking to your kids about, safety and not making threats and what not to bring to school and things like that. So those letters have been sent out to all parents. Letters, a letter was sent to the Manual High School parents about the bats. Because I know that, once the removal starts, then there's gonna be a lot of questions about what is going on. So to get ahead of it and to be transparent, I just let them know that, we are taking care of the issue, and having it removed and everything. Invitations have been sent for the strategic planning task force. First meeting is on September 25th, so those, invitations have been sent out. Also, information, has been sent out to parents, and some of the schools, if you noticed, they posted, we sent it out today, and they posted it on the website already, because we have, the ability to send text messages to parents, opposed to a robocall, or we could send both, but parents have to give consent, because with anything else, when you send messages to your phone, you might be charged. So the parents have to use, and the board members got a copy of that too, that, you don't want to have a text message because it might take you over your limit of whatever your messages or however. So that's been sent out also. The new cell phone guidance was released. Yesterday I sent that out to all board members. And, in going through that, the final guidance, we're right where we need to be. Ours is very consistent with the final guidance because we went a little bit above what was recommended in the draft guidance, so we're where we need to be. The only thing that we need to do and think about this, and maybe we can make an adjustment or amendment to ours, is when there is an emergency, are we going to allow our students to take their cell phones out? An emergency evacuation. For instance, like they were talking about the students in Georgia, when those students were evacuated, they left their backpacks and things like that, but they were saying, should they have, or some of them probably did, were allowed to take their cell phones, because then you're in communication with the parents then, and they're not as worried, or they know that you're there, or what have you. So you decide if we're gonna say, no, even in an emergency situation, you cannot have your cell phones on school grounds. So that's something we need to think about. We also need to put our emergency evacuation plans for each school. We need to put those on in our policy, and we need to share the evacuation plans with our parents. Those are the things that are in the guidance that came out. And the last question is, when do you want to include a student on the board? Because then I can start the process. Asking, so what month do you want them to start?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So, I think we were asked a question about what's our position on if there's my words, a need to evacuate when we allow students to take their cell phones. And looking at the updated guidance, it looks like that's something that definitely across the Commonwealth. One of them, what was it, about 3 things, right, that showed up in the over 6,000 comments. So that may be something that we would want to consider. Maybe I'm not suggesting
Yes,
tonight.
yes, I'll make a note.
Okay. And then my other item, who is representing our board on the strategic planning task force?
So it'll be Ms. Bowman, and I'm gonna go, as it was explained to me, there's gonna be different goals. So I thought I would go to the first meeting and then recruit people for each committee. goal will have its own committee. Because I think the first meeting, that big group of people is only gonna probably meet like at the beginning and then maybe again at the end. So most of the meat of it is gonna be in the committees. Is that right?
They're gonna meet, but we can still add people to the committee. We have a core committee, and then on each one of those committees, other people can be on the committees. That's all right.
Okay. So,
So going back to the cell phone emergency evacuation, was there a recommendation or no? I missed that.
It's in there that the board needs to
we
think
need to
about that.
decide, yes, we need to
Nobody was
decide.
given a recommendation?
No,
Okay.
they have not given a recommendation. But it's one of the things that they discussed is that that the kids, when they have to evacuate, grab their cell phones, especially if they're in the back.
Yes.
Okay. The board will now adjourn to, closed session.
Board will adjourn to closed meeting